Welcome to the Schaefer Sports Show, episode 31, here on Buzzer and on X. My name is Andrew Schaefer. Go apply to be a content creator or go create a fan account at buzzer.com. Go follow Buzzer on all social media platforms at Buzzer Official. That's at BZZROFFICIAL. All sports, no noise. Go follow the Center Hub at the Center Hub _BB. They cover the WNBA, the NBA, men's college basketball, and women's college basketball. And follow me on X at Andrew S. Hoops 2. So, a lot on the docket today. World Cup underway. Argentina, England. Winner advances to take on Spain. We'll recap the Spain-France game. The MLB All-Star game last night, getting a lot of criticism for being boring and not entertaining. We'll dive into that. The British Open starts tomorrow, the last major of the golf season. I'll pick hopefully some winners. I did very well with the U.S. Open. I picked Wyndham Clark. Course is going to look different, though, at the British at Birkdale this year. ACC came out with some tiebreaker scenarios after last year's controversy. We'll see if I agree or disagree with those. Steve Yzerman out in Detroit as president of hockey operations, and we will preview the Mountain West for the upcoming basketball season. But I want to start with the World Cup. So Spain and France played yesterday in Dallas. Spain wins it 2-0. France is out at the World Cup. Surprising for sure, but a lot of people were on Spain for a while. Spain is very elite defensively. Their goalie made some massive saves when he had to. And Spain executed on a penalty shot that was a clear penalty, no question. And the second goal, France was caught standing around. Give credit to Spain. They wanted it more. They outplayed Kylian Mbappe, Rabiot, and those guys. And France is out at the World Cup in the semifinals. So last year, the final. This year, the semifinal. So to me, this is a disappointing result for France. As for Spain, they move on. They're in the World Cup final. Congrats to them. Thought they played an excellent game. To me, they're the best defensive team in the they were the best defensive team to me. They may not have had the sexy names like Sergio Ramos back in the, like they had, but Spain found a way to shut down France. You knew Mbappe was going to be a major challenge. They found a way, and they now await the winner of Argentina and England. These are two countries that don't like each other. You have Lionel Messi, the greatest soccer player of all time, against Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, who have been excellent for England. Thomas Tuchel has, like I said yesterday, he speaks his mind. I think that is refreshing for a coach to speak honesty. And I picked Argentina. I will stick with Argentina, but I think a lot of people are taking England because of the momentum England brought in. Argentina has looked very shaky against Egypt, against Cabo Verde, against Switzerland. I'm taking Argentina because I think Argentina did not respect the three previous opponents. They did not respect Switzerland. They did not respect Egypt. They did not respect Cabo Verde. I think they respect England in a major way. I think Argentina is going to play their best game to this point. I am currently not watching the game. My TV is facing the other direction because I can't rotate it right now. But we are 0-0 in the 8th minute. So it is still early, long way to go. Anything can happen in the World Cup. I'm hoping for penalty shots. I don't know if England can handle penalty shots in overtime, trying to win their first World Cup in 60 years. Argentina, of course, trying to go back-to-back. Very, very difficult to do for Argentina. Let's go to the All-Star game. So last night, the American League defeated the National League 4-0. The MVP went to the New York Yankees' own Cody Bellinger. That is utterly shocking, but Cody Bellinger won MVP, hit a 2-run single. Ben Rice had an RBI single. And then Miguel Vargas hit a home run, 433 feet in the second deck, and the American League won it 4-0. Starting the game, you had Dylan Cease of the Toronto Blue Jays. Of course, John Schneider was the manager, and Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies, the hometown pitcher. So that's the way that went. There's been a lot of talk recently and publicly about how the All-Star game needs to go, about how it's boring, about how it's not interesting. First of all, I said yesterday that the All-Star games have lost luster. They are glorified exhibition games. They are honors, no question, but you are at risk of getting injured in a game that, frankly, players don't put in effort for the most part. Baseball, it's hard not to put in effort, but it feels like the games are really for the fans. They're for the young 12-year-old who wants to see their favorite player. To me, the All-Star game has lost this luster. I couldn't stand all the pyrotechnics last night, the fireworks, the concerts, the kids coming out on the bicycles. Stop with the pomp and circumstance. It doesn't work for us. What we want to see is baseball. We want to see hard effort. We want to see diving plays. We want to see hard pitches. We want to see home runs. That's what we want to see. And at the end of the day, the pitching dominated this game. The National League was shut out for the first time in 13 years. They just couldn't hit the ball. The American League pitching was absolutely dominant from start to finish. And, I think it also hurts the All-Star game that some of the star players, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, both did not play in this game. That hurts because casual fans are attracted to superstars and household names. Those are the two biggest in the sport, and they're not playing because of injury, not because they chose not to. They didn't play because they were hurt. Super unfortunate there for Major League Baseball in that regard. But enough with the fireworks and the kids coming out on the bicycles and, the concerts in the middle of the game. Enough. I don't care about watching Boys to Men, who was raised in Philadelphia, singing a song. I get it. It was for Stand Up to Cancer. And again, I want to be very clear. Stand Up to Cancer, that moment is awesome. But again, just like concerts in the middle, I refer just enough. Enough of the concerts and the pyrotechnics and trying to get people to watch your event. At the end of the day, everyone knows it's a glorified exhibition game. You're more likely to get hurt than not. You're doing it for the fans. But at the end of the day, I think all-star games need to go. I think they all need to stop. The NBA, the MLB, the NHL, the Pro Bowl, all this stuff, it's got to stop. Play the regular season the way it's supposed to be played, hard-nosed, effort, playoffs, even harder-nosed, even more effort, and that's it. That's all we're asking for. I'm not asking you to, do these glorified exhibition games and let's put on a, quote, show. Enough of the show. Just play the damn game the way you know how to play it. Hard, with effort. That's what fans want. They want to see you diving for the ball, throwing 100 miles an hour, hitting a 400-foot home run. That's what they want. They don't want to see, pyrotechnics and kids coming out on bicycles and concerts in the middle of the game and performing a song. Enough of that. Stop. It's ridiculous. That's why people are disinterested, because it's more of a sideshow than anything else, when the priority of the game is baseball and effort. And again, in baseball, it's hard not to put an effort, but like in the NBA, when guys are just letting them blow by, like you might as well just go sit on plane somewhere else. So those are my thoughts on the All-Star game. Congratulations to Cody Bellinger. He would not have been my pick to win MVP. This was a guy who before, like a few weeks ago, was 8 for his last 69 at-bats, and now he's winning All-Star game MVP, and he was a replacement pick. So pretty incredible. But I think there were something like 36 first-time All-Stars or something, which is just absolutely insane. Vlad Guerrero pulled out, Judge pulled out, Ohtani pulled out, Schlittler pulled out. I mean, a lot of top players were pulling out. Obviously, some due to injury, some not, but that's the story there. Okay, let's do Steve Yzerman. So Steve Yzerman, in a kind of a shocking move this morning, was let go as president and general manager of the Detroit Red Wings. This move was overdue. This should have happened a long time ago. The fact that they're doing it now in July, after the draft, after the offseason, doesn't really make any sense to me. I wonder how much the Dylan Larkin trade situation factored in. Dylan Larkin has requested a trade. There were reports that there are teams on his no-trade list. Vegas, Florida, Minnesota were the public ones. I don't know if there were more. So you had those three. And Steve Yzerman said, we're only going to trade him if we get a great package. Dylan's under contract. He's saying, as long as the player's under contract and we don't get what we want, Dylan's going to show up. And I think owners sometimes, once a player asks for a trade, they want them out because they clearly don't want to be here. But Steve Yzerman's like, no, he's under contract. He's our best player. We're not getting rid of him. We want the mountain for him. And I think there was kind of a stubborn battle between people saying, no, he needs to go. He doesn't want to be here versus, no, we need to keep him because we have to do what's best for our organization, not what's best for Dylan Larkin. Because then if Larkin comes to training camp, it gets really awkward and then he doesn't want to play and then there's a holdout. And I just think that whole situation between Yzerman and Larkin was handled poorly. Yzerman should have said, you know what? He's available. Let's see what we get for him. We'll take the best offer. We'll move on. Instead, he's going, nope, we're going to keep him. Dylan Larkin has no say. His agent has no say. I'm calling all the shots. And I think there was like a power struggle there. And let's be honest, the Red Wings have been downright awful since Yzerman took over. They haven't made the playoffs. After making it like 25 consecutive years, they haven't made it in like 9 years. I mean, Steve Yzerman has been a disaster. They hired him because he was good in Tampa Bay and, he was a Red Wing, great player. And they're like, you know what? Great player in our organization. He had really good success in Tampa. Maybe he can bring it to Detroit. He couldn't. And he got fortunate in Tampa. He had Steven Stamkos and Victor Hedman and Nikita Kucherov. And he had all this top-end talent. He doesn't have that in Detroit. Lucas Raymond is not a top-level player. Mo Sider is not a top-level player. They don't have the elite top 10 player. And unfortunately for Detroit fans, it's been a long drought after a great history with guys like Datsuk and Zetterberg and Lidstrom, who were phenomenal. Now they're in this transition of, hey, we're trying to make the playoffs, but we don't really have the elite talent. And we're hoping and praying that the goaltending figures itself out and the defense figures itself out. And, maybe Lucas Raymond can put up 41 year and just too many what ifs for Detroit. And I think this is the correct move. The timing is strange. I would have done this in April or May, not in July. So it tells me that the Dylan Larkin situation hit ahead. Two stubborn parties. He wanted to keep him for best value. So maybe other powers wanted him gone because he wants to move on. You're basically trapping the player. And ownership's like, yeah, we don't want guys who don't want to be here. We don't really care about the value. Just get them the hell out of here. So, and I think Yzerman's like, no, I want A, B, C, D, E. And they're like, well, you're crazy. And then they just fired him. And that was it. And now he's going to take a different role. He's now a special advisor. Detroit now has to search for their next president. So what they need, Detroit, is they need someone who understands high-level evaluation of talent, who understands that when a player asks for a trade, you are trading him. This is not a, hey, we're going to hold on to him even if it gets ugly. No, you're going to move him. So I think there's that. I think the GM coming in, you're going to have to trade Dylan Larkin. It is what it is. Todd McClellan was not the answer as head coach. He has been out of the loop for a while in terms of high-level coaches, in my opinion. I think Detroit needs to go younger at the head coaching position, maybe an assistant with a ton of experience, who's ready to take that next step and kind of grow with this core. And do they have a core? Lucas Raymond is good. Sider is good. What else you got? If Dylan Larkin's gone, who's your best player, I don't really know where you stand. Right now, you're not really in full rebuild, but you're also not winning a cup, and you're closer to a rebuild than you are to a cup. So if I'm Detroit, I'm probably trading a bunch of vets, tanking out the year, getting high draft picks, and kind of rebuilding. The rebuild's probably going to extend a little bit longer. I agree with the move, but it should have happened a lot earlier. All right, the ACC football conference has decided to put out some new tiebreakers for their ACC championship game. So if you remember last year, and some of you probably will remember this, Miami got screwed out of the ACC championship game because there was a 5-way tie for second, and Duke ended up getting into the game. And the fifth tiebreaker was conference opponent win percentage. And that's why they got in, which was ridiculous. And everyone and their mother knew Miami was a better football team than Duke. Duke won the ACC title game, whatever. So now they've made a change. Obviously, they have this new 9-game conference schedule this year. So the number one tiebreaker is head-to-head. I agree that's what it always should be. So now they're going to use a ranking, and I'm reading an article from ESPN from Andrea Adelson. The ACC will now use the team success rating provided by Sports Source Analytics as a way to reward the team with the strongest body of work. That's how it should be. Whoever has the best body of work, the top two teams should be in the championship game. Not, East versus West or, they did this. It's body of work. You want the two best teams in your championship game for ratings, for fans, for college football. It makes too much sense. So that's the way they're going to do that. Because remember, if you win the ACC, you get an automatic spot into the college football playoff. And this was an unmitigated disaster. Jim Phillips was heavily criticized and has been for a while because basketball hasn't necessarily been great in the ACC recently. And Clemson and Florida State football haven't been relevant recently. But I think this was the proper move, and it's about freaking time they got it right. Next, the British Open. So the British Open is this week, starts tomorrow at Royal Birkdale. The last of the 4 majors. The U.S. Open, of course, was won by Wyndham Clark. The Masters was won by Rory McIlroy. And the PGA Championship was shockingly won by Aaron Rai. So we go to the British. Usually what determines the British Open? The weather, right? The wind, the rain. Driving accuracy is a huge thing there because if you get in some of these pot bunkers, it becomes a challenge. The fescue gets even more challenging. You don't necessarily have to hit driver because on links golf, the ball tends to run out. But if you find a hazard, whether it's a bunker or fescue, you're screwed. So accuracy is a key in the British Open. You've got to really know slopes. You've got to be very creative. So I have a list of 5 guys that I think could win the British Open. I'm not going to take Scottie Scheffler this week. I take him all the time. He honestly has not been playing great. Will he be in the mix? Of course. Will he win? No. My first pick is going to be Matt Fitzpatrick. Fitz is due to win a major. He won a U.S. Open at Brookline. He's basically been the second best player on the tour this year outside of Scheffler. He's been unbelievable. Every tournament, he seems to be in the mix. He's from England. He probably knows the course, but he's my first pick. My second pick is Chris Gotterup. Gotterup won the Scottish Open last year, was in the mix to win it this year. Gotterup's had a lot of success in links golf. He's a guy that the casual fans have no idea who he is. He's from New Jersey, played his college golf at Oklahoma, and he has shot up the ladder. He just won the John Deere Classic. Gotterup's my number 2 pick. My number 3 pick, Tommy Fleetwood, the hometown hero. I think it would be an unbelievable story for Tommy Fleetwood to win his first major at the British Open. This is a guy who hits the ball low. His game fits links golf beautifully. He has struggled with the putter at times. So that's always the question is, can he make enough putts? Ball striking's there. So he's my 3rd pick. My 4th pick is going to be Patrick Reed. Now, Patrick Reed is kind of off the board. But Patrick Reed is a guy who's currently leading the European Tour in FedEx Cup points, DP World Tour points. So he has played very well in Europe this year. So he's obviously won a major, won the Masters a few years ago. Patrick Reed is a name to keep an eye on. And then my 5th pick is a guy that is due to win a major, and that is Viktor Hovland from Norway. Didn't play great at the Scottish Open, but he is due. I mean, this guy is too talented. He drives the ball beautifully. He's a great ball striker. The question has always been the short game, but I feel like he's kind of come around. He won the Travelers over Scheffler in a playoff. Gave him a lot of confidence. So I'm going to go with Hovland. So my 5 picks, Matt Fitzpatrick, Chris Gotterup, Tommy Fleetwood, Patrick Reed, and Viktor Hovland. All right, let's do the Mountain West preview. So men's college basketball, again, doesn't start till November. It's hard to predict rosters in July, but we're going to do it anyway. So the Mountain West is a different league this year. Completely different. Okay, there's new members. Teams are out. So Hawaii, UC Davis, and UTEP were all added into the league. UTEP came from Conference USA. UC Davis and Hawaii from the Big West. Gone. San Diego State, Utah State, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, all gone. They go to the Pac-12. So a lot of changes in this league. So it's a 10-team league that's probably going to sit league strength somewhere between 6 and 10. I'd say probably 8th, probably on the list. I would say behind the A10 and behind the Pac-12. So I'd say they're probably sitting 8th. I think this is a one-bid league. I do not think they're going to get 2 teams in. They just won't play enough quality opponents, and the league's not strong, especially at the bottom. So again, start from the bottom, work my way up. Number 10 is Air Force. So Air Force, to me, is the hardest job in the country. Really hard job. Really hard job. Joe Scott was released from his duties as head coach due to an investigation at Air Force into the treatment of players. February 20th, they parted ways. It's going to be a tough road. Joe Crispin was hired. He was at Georgia State, I believe. Let me just double check and make sure. No, I'm sorry. He was an assistant at Penn State and then took this job. Look, this is a really hard job. It's a hard job. Obviously, they have a lot of continuity because nobody transfers in and nobody transfers out. But it's a really hard job. I think it's going to be a struggle for Air Force. They're 10. Number 9, I'm going to go with UC Davis. Right now on their roster website, there are only 7 listed players. They're coming from the Big West. That is a jump in competition, athleticism, and skill. Jim Les has been there a long time. But this is going to be a tough transition for UC Davis. Right now, they only have 7 players on their roster, so they have to continue to fill that out. A lot of continuity coming back, which is great, but you're going to a much tougher league. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for UC Davis. Number 8 is UTEP and Joe Golding. I will say they have 3 double-digit mid-major scorers coming in from Leaf Moeller from Evansville, Reese Miller, William and Mary, and Jace Whitting from Weber State. They do bring in Augusto Cassia from Ole Miss, who didn't play a ton. I think this is going to be a struggle. CUSA to the Mountain West isn't an enormous step up, but it's enough to notice. UTEP is an 8th. 7th, this might shock people. I'm going with Hawaii and Urin Ganot. So there were rumors that maybe he wasn't going to extend. He ends up extending as the coach. They lost a lot in the portal. And having to build an entire new roster with the portal, he only brings back 2 guys from his roster from last year, Tanner Cuff, who redshirted, and then Isaiah Kerr, who averaged just 6 points a game. He brought in Marcus Adams Jr. from ASU, brought in a couple of mid-major guys. I just think, again, Big West to the Mountain West, big leap. I think it's going to take some time. They've got to find a way to raise some more money. Hawaii's at number 7. Number 6, San Jose State. Tim Miles. Most people probably will have them 7th. I have them 6th. Bringing back Pasha Gadarzi, bringing back Javon Hanna, I think is huge for them. I like the Mookie Cook and Robert Viola pickups from San Francisco and Minnesota, respectively. Zion Bedry averaged double figures in the Ivy League. I think they're not deep, but I do think they have talent to work with. It's a really hard job. Tim Miles has very little to work with. I think he's doing the best he can. So I have them at 6. Number 5, Wyoming. Sundance Wicks just keeps grinding along. A lot of continuity for his group. 5 guys back from last year, 1 redshirt, and then Uriah Rojas, Caden Bennett, Nasir Meyer, and Gavin Gores all coming back. He's got a lot of JUCO kids on his roster. He's got a Division II kid. He's got a kid from Germany. I think they're going to be fine. They're not a tournament team. Again, really hard job in Laramie there. The altitude always plays a factor there. I think it's just a really tough job for Sundance Wicks. I have them at 5. Number 4 is Nevada. And Steve Alford has been there quite a while now. Haven't made the tournament in a minute, so I do wonder if there's some concern there. But Steve Alford's a fantastic coach. Brings back both Vaughn Weems and Elijah Price, which is huge. Those were 2 double-figure scorers. He brought in Styles Phipps from Pepperdine, who I think is going to be able to score. Peter Bandels from Cal Poly should be able to score as well. Brought in Simon Majok from Memphis. I think a lot of people thought he was going elsewhere. I think they're going to be able to score. I just wonder on the defensive end if Majok is good enough to protect the rim there. So I have Nevada at 4. Number 3, I'm riding with UNLV. The Running Rebels. I think Josh Pastner brings a ton of energy into year 2. He went into the portal. He picked up 3 Power 5 guys in Sebastian Mack from Missouri, Cam Miles, Florida State, Tyler Harris from Vanderbilt. brought back both Isaac Williamson and Tyron Jones. I love the Dontrez Williams pickup from Lindenwood. That's a kid that I've watched quite a bit. I think he's going to provide a nice bench contribution. And Jeremy Fumina from Central Florida should see an increase in minutes as well. I like UNLV's group. I just don't think they're tournament ready. Number 2, New Mexico and Eric Olin, who's one of the best coaches in the country in the mid-major ranks. I'm still convinced he's going to end up at Colorado at some point. I'm sure he'll be in the mix for San Diego State when Brian Dutcher's contract runs out. I'm sure he'll be in the mix for Oregon when Dana Altman decides to retire. Now, he brings back who I believe could be the Mountain West Player of the Year in Jake Hall, averaged 16 a game last year. Brings back Uriah Tenet, who should be very good as well. Brings in Imran Soljanovic from St. John's. Brings in Tunde Valberg Fasasi from William & Mary. I love Ritus Petritus from Cal. I think it's a really good group. I think Eric Olin's teams always want to play up and down. We know the Pit is one of the toughest arenas to win in. New Mexico's going to be right there at the top of the league. But number 1 is Bryce Drew in Grand Canyon. I love the roster he's put together. Grand Canyon has money. That's why Bryce Drew hasn't left. They bring in Dylan Darling from St. John's, who I covered regularly. Darling, of course, had his moments at St. John's. He's got a lot of moxie. He's not a great shooter, but he's got moxie and toughness, and he's a winner. They bring in Omaha Biliou from Wake, Amarion Dickerson from USC. I like the fact that he kept Micaiah Williams and F.A. Demeril. That's huge. I like Jaden Zimmerman at Quinnipiac, 15-point-a-game guy. I really like what Grand Canyon has, but they have money to spend. Bryce Drew knows how to spend it. Bryce Drew's been to the tournament. So my pick to win the Mountain West and win the auto bid this year is the Grand Canyon Lopes. So to recap, 1 Grand Canyon, 2 New Mexico, 3 UNLV, 4 Nevada, 5 Wyoming, 6 San Jose State, 7 Hawaii, 8 UTEP, 9 UC Davis, and 10 Air Force. Mountain West is going to be a 1-bid league. We're used to this league getting multiple bids. San Diego State, Utah State, Boise State, but they're all gone. They're in the Pac-12. And the Mountain West to me is basically Grand Canyon, New Mexico, UNLV, Nevada, and then that's it. And the rest of the league, I think, is going to struggle in a big way. I think, spots 5 through 10 is going to be a struggle. I think Nevada will be relevant. I think UNLV will be relevant. I just don't think they're good enough to get in the tournament with the expansion. I think the Mountain West will come down to Grand Canyon and New Mexico. Hopefully that's the championship game to get into the tournament. Both coaches are excellent. Both coaches should be at Power 5 programs. I can't blame Bryce Drew for not leaving. Grand Canyon's got a lot of money. Olin, I think, wants a high-level West Coast job, which both Oregon and San Diego State are. Oregon, of course, you're going to have to travel with everything. San Diego State's probably the best mid-major job on the West Coast other than Gonzaga and maybe St. Mary's, but those jobs are taken. Few has a replacement named, and Mickey McConnell took over for Randy Bennett. So I think Eric Olin, I think Colorado will go after him. Fernando Lobos, Colorado's athletic director. He was at New Mexico with Olin. I'm sure Colorado will try to get him, but I would not be surprised if San Diego State ends up with him or if Oregon ends up with him. We'll just have to see kind of how it plays out. But I think for Olin to get another job outside of Colorado, I think he's going to have to make the NCAA tournament at New Mexico. I don't think it happens this year. I think Grand Canyon, to me, is the favorite and should win this league. So that'll do it for this episode. I know it's a little shorter. Obviously, most of my videos are a lot longer. So far, it's been the World Cup game, from what I'm understanding, is a lot of fouls, a lot of whistles. But that's okay. Jonas Valanciunas actually just signed in Lithuania. That's not surprising. So that means he is out of the NBA. We still await LeBron's decision. Sounds like, again, Cleveland, Golden State, Philadelphia. I think anywhere else is ridiculous. So that's pretty much it. So that'll do it for this episode of the Schaefer Sports Show. You can find these on Buzzer and on my X feed at Andrew S. Hoops too. You can go on to Buzzer, apply to be a content creator, go create a fan account, buzzer.com. Go follow Buzzer on all social media platforms at Buzzer Official, at BZZROFFICIAL, all sports, no noise. Go follow the Center Hub at the Center Hub _BB. You can follow me on X at Andrew S. Hoops too. Otherwise, go enjoy the Argentina-England game, and we'll talk tomorrow.